Adversity is the hidden architect of greatness. It works in silence, without applause, without warning. It does not announce itself with comfort or predictability. Instead, it arrives cloaked in hardship, in pain, in loss, in the unwelcome moments of life that seem, at first glance, to be tearing everything apart. And yet, if you look closely, if you peer into the storm rather than run from it, you'll find that adversity is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher, your most loyal builder. Every man or woman who has ever achieved greatness has walked through fire. They were not chosen for ease. They were chosen for their ability to endure. You see, life never molds greatness in luxury. It never carves courage from ease. The diamond does not emerge from calm. It is formed under crushing pressure. Steel is not born from peace, but from the relentless fury of the forge. You are being shaped in much the same way. Adversity does not come to break you for no reason. It comes to break the parts of you that are not meant to stay. It chips away the weakness. It melts down the fear. It forces you to confront every limitation you've ever believed about yourself. Most people avoid this process. They shrink when life becomes uncomfortable. They pull back the moment pain touches them. But those who understand, those who know what adversity really is, they lean in. They do not curse the challenge. They rise to meet it. What most fail to realize is that adversity isn't random. It's calculated. It appears in your life in the exact places where you are still unprepared for the future you've asked for. It targets your weaknesses with precision, not to shame you, but to make sure you never build a life on unstable foundations. If you want strength, life will send struggle. If you want wisdom, it will send confusion. If you want depth, it will send loss. It's not cruelty. It's construction. You think it's breaking you, but it's not. It's breaking the illusion of who you think you are so you can meet the truth of who you've always been. The version of you that can endure, that can push through, that can build something lasting. Not on luck, not on talent, but on grit, and that grit is born in the dark. It's born when no one is watching. It's born when everything feels like it's collapsing and you still take one more step. Look back on your life. Think about the moments that truly changed you. Not the easy ones, the ones that hurt, the ones that made you question everything. The moments when you had to choose between giving up or rising. What came from those moments? Strength, wisdom, perspective, discipline. All the qualities you admire in others were built in the same way, through adversity, not around it, not by avoiding it, but right through the center of it. There is no elevator to greatness. There is only the staircase carved from your scars, and every step matters, every sleepless night, every failure, every rejection, every time you had to get back up when no one else believed you would. That's the blueprint. That's the cost. Not everyone is willing to pay it. But those who are, they gain access to something few ever reach. Not just success, but self-mastery. The world may see adversity as punishment, but those with vision see it as preparation. They understand that life isn't trying to stop them, it's trying to sculpt them. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. Every setback, a setup. Every fall, a foundation. And so they walk differently. They move with quiet confidence, not because they haven't faced the storm, but because they've already survived it many times before. And each time they emerge not smaller, but stronger, clearer, more certain of who they are and what they are capable of becoming. You must endure the furnace to be forged into steel. There is no other way. Greatness has a cost, and that cost is paid in full through the heat of challenge, the weight of pressure, and the fire of resistance. Every strong soul, every unshakable will, every unstoppable force of nature among men and women was not born that way. They were refined. Refined through pain, through trials, through moments that would break the average, but instead built the extraordinary. The furnace is not gentle. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't give you a warning. It shows up as crisis, as failure, as heartbreak, as uncertainty. And when it does, you will be tempted to escape, to run toward ease, to beg for relief. But if you do, if you run from the heat, you forfeit the strength it was designed to give you. Because the fire does not come to destroy you. It comes to remove what is not strong enough to stay. It burns away the doubt, the laziness, the excuses, the victimhood. It incinerates the pieces of you that keep you average so that only the essential remains as discipline, clarity, and power. Steel is not created by chance. It is created by fire and force, shaped by hammer blows, hardened through intensity. It must be heated, cooled, and struck again and again. And so must you. If you want to become someone capable of withstanding life storms, of carrying responsibility, of leading others, of building something enduring, you must be willing to endure that process. There are no shortcuts. No amount of talent will substitute for toughness. No charm can replace consistency. You will either go through the furnace willingly, or you will crumble under the weight of a life you were never prepared to carry. Every time life pushes you into the heat, it is giving you a choice. You can resist it, cry out that it's unfair, ask why it's happening to you, or you can step into the fire with resolve, knowing that you are being formed for something greater. You may not understand the reason at first. It may feel senseless, cruel, chaotic, but trust this: nothing valuable is ever made without a process. Gold is mined and purified. Diamonds are crushed into brilliance. Trees grow deep roots before they ever touch the sky. So why would your path to strength be anything less demanding? Some people live their entire lives avoiding the furnace. They choose comfort. They avoid conflict. They stay small because small feels safe, but the cost of that safety is everything they were meant to become. Growth only happens when comfort is left behind. Character is not built on easy days. Purpose is not discovered in moments of pleasure. It is found when the pressure mounts, when your back is against the wall, and when quitting seems like the easiest option. But you don't. Those who emerge from the furnace are not the same as when they entered. They walk with a different posture. They speak with earned authority. They carry a presence that cannot be faked because it was bought with pain and persistence. They have been tested and they have passed. Not because they never fell, but because they refused to stay down. And that refusal, that choice to keep moving forward when the flames are highest, is what creates the kind of power the world can't ignore. The furnace is not the enemy. It is the gatekeeper. It stands between who you are and who you're destined to become. It does not deny anyone access to greatness, but it will not allow the unprepared to pass through. You don't get to choose the heat, but you get to choose your response. The ones who win are not always the smartest or the most gifted. They are the ones who stayed in the fire, who let it mold them, who allowed it to forge in them something unbreakable. They get, because what is forged in fire does not flame. Every breakdown is a doorway to a breakthrough. Though it may not feel like it in the moment, the collapse you're experiencing is not the destruction of you. It is the dismantling of who you no longer need to be. The breaking point, the moment everything feels like it's falling apart, is the very same moment everything is being realigned. The pain is not a punishment. It is preparation. It's the clearing of space within your life, within your mind, and within your soul for something far greater than what you've settled for. Breakdowns arrive when the current version of your life can no longer support the growth that is trying to emerge. You may not see it at first because breakdowns rarely come dressed in clarity. They come in the form of heartbreak, failure, financial collapse, betrayal, sickness, loss. Raw, jarring moments that shake your identity and shatter your plans. And in that wreckage, you are forced to confront yourself without distraction. You are stripped down to the core of who you are, and in that vulnerable space, the truth you've been avoiding finally surfaces. You see, comfort is seductive. It allows stagnation to masquerade as peace. It whispers lies that keep you contained. Lies like, "This is good enough," or "Maybe this is all there is." But the soul knows better. The soul was not designed for safety. It was designed for expansion. And when you resist that expansion, life intervenes. The breakdown is not life turning against you. It is life refusing to let you stay where you don't belong. It is an act of divine disruption, a necessary storm to clear what no longer serves your becoming. In the depths of a breakdown, clarity is often buried beneath chaos. You question everything: your purpose, your value, your future. But this questioning is not destruction. It is refinement. It is the burning away of illusion. What you thought you needed, what you thought you were, and what you thought your path was. All of it is being recalibrated. And though it hurts, this pain is sacred, because it is only when everything false falls away that the real foundation can be built. Most people never make it past their breakdown because they misinterpret it. They believe it means they've failed, that they are broken beyond repair, that they've lost too much to ever rise again. But they're looking through the lens of fear, not vision. The truth is, the breakdown is a birth. It is chaotic, painful, and messy, yes. But it is also the exact moment your next level is being born. Every breakthrough you've ever experienced was preceded by something that nearly undid you, and yet you made it. Not because the road was easy, but because you chose to keep walking through the fire rather than sit in the ashes. To reach a new level of life, something within you must die, not in the literal sense, but in the spiritual and emotional sense. Your fear of failure, your attachment to approval, your identity wrapped in external success. These parts of you cannot come with you to your next chapter. So life breaks them, it removes the masks, it exposes the lies, it clears the clutter. And in that clearing, something extraordinary is given space to grow: resilience, purpose, clarity, courage. Breakdowns invite you to rebuild, not to who you were, but to who you were always meant to be. The pain demands that you stop pretending. It forces you to decide. Will you stay buried beneath what hurt you, or will you rise with what it taught you? The breakthrough is always waiting, but it is not handed to you. It is earned through surrender. You actually get, through the persistence, through the decision to keep going when everything in you screams to quit. And each time you choose to move forward, no matter how slowly, you are claiming a new version of yourself, one that could not be created in ease, one that could only be born through the breakdown. The universe responds to unshakable will. It does not bend for wishes. It does not rearrange itself for those who merely hope, but for the individual whose resolve is firm, whose decisions are final, whose inner voice declares, "This shall be." The universe listens. It shifts. It aligns. It opens paths unseen, doors previously closed, and possibilities once thought out of reach. The key is not in chance. It is in certainty. It is in the immovable conviction that no matter the obstacle, no matter the resistance, no matter the delay, you will not be denied. Most people move through life with tentative steps. They try something for a while, and when it gets uncomfortable, they pull back. They speak of goals as if they are distant dreams rather than decisions already made. They confuse preference for purpose, interest for intention. But the universe does not move for the half-hearted. It remains still when your energy is scattered, when your mind is undecided, when your actions contradict your declarations. There must be alignment. What you think, what you speak, and what you do must all march in the same direction with force. Unshakable will is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It moves in silence, in discipline, in unwavering focus. It is not distracted by doubt or shaken by setback. It does not stop to ask for validation or permission. It does not crumble under criticism. It simply continues, one step after the other, one battle after another. It rises again and again, not because it avoids defeat, but because it does not accept defeat as final. It knows that everything, the failure, the pain, the rejection, the silence, is part of the path. And it walks that path with fire in its eyes. There is something magnetic about a mind made up. When you decide with absolute clarity that a thing will be done, you begin to operate with a different energy. You no longer ask, "Can I?" but "How will I?" You no longer waste time entertaining doubt or fear. They may knock, but you do not answer. Your mind is fortified. Your spirit is anchored. And that energy, that decisive, unwavering energy, is what the universe recognizes. It's what brings the right people into your orbit. What reveals the resources you couldn't previously access. What opens the right opportunities at the right time. This is not about superstition. This is about laws as real as gravity. When your will is consistent and your belief unbreakable, your actions become laser-focused. You stop wasting time on distractions. You stop retreating at the first sign of resistance. You persist when others quit. You show up when it's inconvenient. You speak life into your vision even when there is no evidence it's working. That level of commitment bends reality because few are willing to reach for it. Most give up too soon, turn around too early, or choose comfort over commitment. But the few who decide, truly decide, become unstoppable. Unshakable will is forged in silence, in solitude, in struggle. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. It grows every time you follow through, when quitting was easier. Every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every time you face your fear and keep moving anyway. It does not arrive all at once. It is built brick by brick through relentless decision, through deliberate action, through the refusal to yield. The universe has no choice but to meet the one who refuses to be denied. It cannot help but respond when you walk in the fullness of your conviction. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. When you are clear, committed, and courageous, the world makes room for you. What once looked impossible begins to move in your favor. Not because the path became easier, but because you became stronger. Not because the world changed, but because you changed your relationship to it. You stopped asking for permission and started claiming your place. You stopped waiting and started building. You stopped hoping and started deciding. And that decision, backed by unshakable will, sends a signal to the universe that you are no longer playing small, no longer entertaining doubt, no longer accepting less than what you were born to achieve. Growth demands sacrifice of the old self. You cannot rise while clinging to what's beneath you. The higher version of you cannot emerge while the lower version remains in control. The transformation you seek, the strength, the clarity, the vision, the purpose, comes at a price. And that price is everything that no longer serves the person you are becoming. It means releasing the habits that bring comfort but keep you stagnant. It means severing ties with excuses you've worn like armor. It means letting go of the ego that fears change, fears challenge, fears the unknown. Growth is not additive. It is subtractive first. It strips away who you were before it ever reveals who you are meant to be. The old self is seductive. It knows how to keep you safe. It whispers familiar lies that sound like truth. You've tried enough. You're not ready yet. You're doing your best. But those words are rooted in fear, not freedom. They do actually get. They come from the part of you that would rather be liked than be great. That would rather stay busy than be productive. That would rather feel good now than build something meaningful over time. That self must be confronted, not once, but again and again, because growth is not a single leap. It is a series of choices made daily to leave behind what no longer fits. You cannot step into your next level with the same mindset that built your current one. You must outgrow your excuses. You must abandon the need to be understood by those who have no desire to grow. You must silence the voice inside you that equates change with loss rather than seeing it as liberation. Every breakthrough requires the death of an identity, and that death is not comfortable. It will feel like you are losing control. But in truth, you are gaining power. You are no longer led by limitation, but by possibility. And that shift, though difficult, is sacred. To grow is to grieve. You will mourn the routines that once gave you a sense of stability. You will outgrow relationships that cannot support your expansion. You will have to walk away from versions of success that once excited you but now feel too small. Actually, this is the cost of becoming. You must be willing to leave behind even what once worked, even what once felt right, because growth is not loyal to your past. It is loyal only to your future, and your future demands more from you. More discipline, more focus, more courage, more ownership. That demand is not cruelty. It is a call to rise. People want to change their lives without changing themselves. They want a new outcome while maintaining the same inputs. But that equation never works. If you want something you've never had, you must become someone you've never been. And that becoming will ask you to let go. Let go of procrastination. Let go of perfectionism. Let go of blaming others, of waiting for permission, of measuring your worth by external validation. It will feel like you're being emptied, and in many ways you are, but only so that something greater can be poured into you. You don't grow by addition. You grow by alignment. When who you are on the inside matches what you do on the outside, your life begins to expand. But that alignment comes at the cost of pretending. It comes at the cost of people-pleasing. It comes at the cost of distraction and denial. To become powerful, you must first become honest. Honest about where you are. Honest about what you've been avoiding. Honest about the gap between your potential and your performance. That honesty is not weakness. It is the foundation of transformation. There will be moments when you will miss yourself, not because it was better, but because it was easier. But you must remember why you chose to grow. You must remember the vision that called you forward. The life you are building cannot coexist with the life you are leaving behind. And so, every day, you must choose. Even before you must decide which version of you gets to lead, the one tied to the past or the one called to the future. That decision is the turning point of your entire life. Struggle reveals purpose you never knew you had. It uncovers what lies dormant beneath the surface, waiting for the right pressure, the right resistance, the right adversity to awaken it. Purpose is not always a vision that descends from the heavens. More often, it rises from the ashes of difficulty. It emerges not in moments of ease, but in the furnace of hardship. The struggle is not an interruption of your journey. It is the shaping of it. Without resistance, you would never discover what you're made of. Without pressure, you would never be forced to dig deep enough to find the gold hidden within. When everything is going smoothly, there's no urgency to ask who you really are or why you're truly here. Comfort creates routine, but it rarely creates revelation. It's only when the walls begin to close in, when once worked no longer does, when once defined you begins to fall apart, that you start asking the deeper questions. That's when something inside used to stir. It doesn't always come as a loud, clear message. Sometimes it's a quiet knowing, a shift, a refusal to stay broken. And that shift is the seed of purpose beginning to take root. You don't find purpose by sitting still. Actually, you find it by surviving the storm and realizing you're stronger than you thought. You find it when you lose what you thought you couldn't live without, and you're still standing. You find it when life pushes you down and something inside you refuses to stay there. That refusal, that internal rebellion against defeat, is often the first glimpse of purpose, because purpose is not always about what you do. It's about who you become in the process of not giving up. Every time you struggle, you are given a chance to confront parts of yourself you never had to deal with before. You meet fear face to face. You wrestle with doubt. You challenge your limitations. And in doing so, you discover something unshakable. Not because the struggle disappears, but because you begin to recognize the strength it's awakening in you. The struggle teaches you that your worth is not tied to external validation. It shows you that pain has a message, that loss has a lesson, that failure has a function. It reveals the deeper thread of your life, the part of you that refuses to be defined by circumstances. You may not know why the struggle is happening in the moment. Most of the time, you won't. It may feel chaotic, unfair, even cruel. But as you push through, you begin to notice how your perspective shifts. What once felt unbearable becomes your foundation. What once seemed like a curse begins to look like a calling. The deeper the pain, the more profound the potential for transformation. The greater the challenge, the more powerful the clarity that follows. Purpose doesn't come all at once. It's uncovered layer by layer, choice by choice. Each time you choose growth over retreat, discipline over comfort, truth over illusion, you're stepping closer to it. You start to realize that the very things you thought were breaking you were actually building you. That the wounds you carry are not marks of failure, but proof of your evolution. And in those wounds you find connection. You find empathy. You find a reason to rise, not just for yourself, but for others who are still in the dark. The most powerful purposes are born in silence and struggle. They are not given. They are earned. They emerge when you're on your knees and you find the courage to rise. They are whispered in moments of surrender and shouted in moments of defiance. They do not come from textbooks or titles. They come from lived experience, from standing at the edge of what you thought you could handle and going beyond it. What once looked like meaningless suffering comes the very fire that forged your voice, your mission, your reason for being. And through it all, you begin to realize you were never lost. You were simply being prepared to carry something greater than yourself. Victory belongs to those who choose meaning over misery. Life will hand you pain. This is not a question of if, but when. It will break your plans, test your limits, and offer you moments that seem void of hope or direction. But what separates the triumphant from the defeated is not the presence or absence of suffering. It's the decision to extract meaning from it. Misery is the default path. It is easy. It asks nothing of you but to remain in the wound. But meaning is a deliberate act. It is the mind's rebellion against hopelessness. It is the soul's insistence that the pain was not wasted. Choosing meaning is not a denial of what you've endured. It does not pretend the loss wasn't devastating, the betrayal not sharp, the failure not real. It simply refuses to let those things define the rest of your story. Misery wants to convince you that what happened to you is who you are, that your limitations are permanent, that your scars are signs of weakness. But meaning sees the scar and says, you survived. Meaning sees the brokenness and says, you're still whole beneath it. Meaning looks at the pain and says, there is something here for me to learn, to grow from, to turn into fuel. Every person reaches a point where they must choose what to make of their suffering. Do you stay there, angry, bitter, paralyzed, or do you step back and begin to ask a higher question? What is this trying to teach me? This question doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms it. Suddenly, the setback becomes a lesson in humility. The heartbreak becomes a call to self-respect. The loss becomes a reminder of what truly matters. And in this transformation, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You become the author of your experience. To choose meaning is to take your power back. It means you don't allow the people who hurt you to keep holding the pen. You write your next chapter, even if your hands are shaking. You begin to see that what was meant to destroy you has introduced you to parts of yourself you might never have found otherwise. Courage you didn't know you had, strength you didn't know you needed, a vision you didn't know was yours to pursue. This clarity doesn't come in the absence of pain. It comes through the choice to rise in spite of it. Misery will always offer a seat. It thrives in your silence. It feeds on your fear. It's the voice that tells you nothing will ever change, that your efforts are pointless, that your dreams are narvee. It wants you to numb out, to give in, to shrink. But meaning asks you to feel fully, to stay awake, to keep moving forward even if all you can manage is one step at a time. It demands your presence, your courage, your full engagement with life. And though that path is harder in the beginning, it leads to freedom. Victory is not awarded to the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented. It belongs to those who are relentless in their pursuit of meaning, those who refuse to let their wounds define their worth, those who see failure not as an end, but as refinement, those who face loss and still find something to give. That is the mark of true power, to look your struggle in the eye and say, I will make something of this. Not for applause, not for approval, but because you've made a decision not to waste the pain. Life will break you. That much is guaranteed. But whether that breaking leads to misery or meaning is a decision that only you can make. It's a daily choice, often made in the quiet hours when no one is watching. When you are tempted to give up, but don't. When you are drowning in doubt, but choose to believe anyway. When you are tired beyond words, but still show up. This is where victory is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, in the choice to rise when you have every reason to fall. In the commitment to find purpose in the places where others only find despair, in the unwavering decision to believe that there is something sacred on the other side of struggle, and that you are worthy of reaching it. In the grand architecture of your life, every trial is a blueprint, every hardship a hammer shaping the edges of your becoming. You were not sent into the fire to be consumed. You were sent to be refined. When life presses down on you, when dreams collapse and doubts scream louder than hope, remember, if it's breaking you, it's building something bigger. The pain has purpose. The setbacks hold seeds of strength. The silence teaches you to listen. And in the rubble of once was, a greater version of you is rising. Victory does not belong to the one who avoids struggle, but to the one who endures it with eyes fixed on meaning. It belongs to those who sacrifice the comfort of the old self to step into the unknown. To those who choose clarity over chaos, creation over complaint, meaning over misery. Purpose is not found in perfect conditions. It is uncovered in the aftermath of what tried to destroy you. And when your will becomes unshakable, when you refuse to be defined by defeat, when you let the furnace forge you rather than burn you, the universe moves to meet you. This is your becoming. Actually get. And though the path is carved through adversity, every step forward is a testament to the greatness being built within.